You should see it. It says
Yeah, got it.
live. Yeah.
All right, we're
All right, we're
live.
live on YouTube. Hello, hello. Hi.
Hi,
Hello, everybody. Who are you?
I'm Chauneice Davis, and I wear many hats, but I have played with Barbies for a long time, so that's my primary expertise today.
You have
Oh
really?
yeah, I grew up playing Barbies.
Really?
And I was talking to my mom because she was like, I'm not interested in seeing that movie. And I was
What?
like, what? I was like, that's because you didn't play with Barbies. And she corrected me quickly. She said she grew up with like a Barbie dream house and a car, like a Mercedes or something. Like she was a bougie Barbie player.
Wow.
And still
But
doesn't. But I think she represents like the segment of people who think that it's all Barbie propaganda. And maybe it is, but
I mean,
there's a lot of
definitely.
Barbie like sarcasm and hate kind of weaved in. So
Weaved into the film.
I, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it appeals. I think they're right. It appeals to some Barbie haters and some Barbie lovers.
I think the beauty of the film is that it is self-aware, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the
Yeah.
history of the Barbie movie?
I mean, you mean the fact that Margot like pushed for it?
Well, so there's a history that apparently goes back to 2014. Hold on, let me pull up this little article.
2014.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so according to this article by W Magazine, in 2014, Sony had the original idea to do like a live action Barbie movie. And
Wow.
then
Good job,
and so
Sony.
in
Good job, Japanese.
the
The
Japanese at it
Japanese
again,
saw it.
bringing us joy. Well, okay, so
That's so funny.
they were trying to make it like, you know, the Lego movie had come out, and I think it had like a dual purpose
Lego.
of it's nostalgic. It also drives revenue for the toys and Transformers. So like thinking about like, okay, we can make this adult and playful, but it's also like profitable. So that was, it seems like it was the original purpose. They had a former Sex and the City writer who was going to be a part of the creation of it. There were no plot details that were announced, I
In
guess.
2014, that was
In
the vibe. Oh
2014.
wow.
Yeah. They
With the
said
Sex
that
and the City writer. Okay.
I know, like, well, I don't
I
know
kind of love
exactly
that.
what they were going for there, but they said they wanted it to be unexpected, clever, and truly funny concept. So that was the original idea. And then Diablo Cody was brought on board to be the rewriter, but they don't know what, like, I don't really know what that means because they didn't release a script.
Okay.
So okay, so then in 2015,
Oh my gosh, I would love to read the 2014 script.
yeah, like can you
Wow.
find it? Can you get your minions on it? Do you have minions?
No, but
Get
no.
minions, get them on it.
Get
Men's
minions, get them
minions.
on it. Okay. All right. Damn
Like,
it.
come on. I'm gonna just be your publicist. Don't worry about it. But so 2015, they apparently ordered like 3 scripts to be written, 3 new scripts. So we don't know what this old script was, but they didn't like it. So they're like, well, maybe if we get 3 talented writers to write 3 different scripts, we can like pick and choose from the best that they develop.
Wow. Okay.
Apparently part of those writers was Hillary Winston, who wrote for Community and a show called Happy Ending, which I don't know Happy Ending, but you and I love Community. So
Of course. Of course.
that also seems like an interesting take on Barbie. And then in
Wow.
2016, they got Amy Schumer to be Barbie. Did you know this backstory? Had you heard any of this?
I did not know about that.
Yeah. So, and recently there was a lot of like
I thought
drama
Jenny
about
McCarthy
this.
was on the table recently. Or Jenny McCarthy? Anyway, whatever. Okay.
So yeah, they had Amy Schumer, and she spoke a few weeks back, or like maybe while all of the like Margot Robbie version hype was going, and she was like, yeah, they approached me and it was like not very feminist and not very cool. So after a year, Amy Schumer dropped out as lead, and she and her sister were supposed to like rewrite the rewrites, but it was supposed to be like a fish out of water story. So it wasn't going to be what we saw as Barbie movie today. It was going to be like just she's Barbie, she lives in Barbieland, and she is like a different Barbie for probably many reasons.
Okay.
And so she gets kicked out of Barbieland because her ideas are like too radical, I guess. But the idea of what she wanted to be radical was very different from what the studio wanted to be radical. Apparently, they were like, Barbie's she's an inventor, and they both agreed on that. She's an inventor, and she invents these like Jello high heels, and Amy Schumer, I guess, was like, oh, that's not really that like crazy. So I don't want to do that movie. So she drops in 2017. And then there was like rumblings that Anne Hathaway was going to be her replacement. Big eyes, definitely gives fish out of water vibes.
Anne Hathaway. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a roller coaster, by the way. It is. And you came prepared. We were talking a big game about not being prepared, and then you came with a whole ass story. Okay.
This is what it looks like when I'm unprepared. I'm mostly prepared, but I'm not, polished.
Okay.
So 2018, they decide that Hathaway's still on board, but they're going to push it to 2020. But Diablo Cody backs out because she feels like, wait, what? Yeah, I actually don't. I don't know. I feel like Diablo Cody was not really like that into it.
I don't even know who Diablo Cody is, but okay.
Neither do I. I thought you would know, but I'm just, relaying the facts. I'm just the fact relayer, not the fact
Diablo Cody
knower.
Oh, okay.
Should I do a quick search? Diablo Cody.
She was in Juno.
Oh, okay. I recognize her face. Yeah. She
Ricky in the
Juno.
Flash. I guess a B-lister.
Okay. So like a writer of like kind of,
wait. She's a writer. Okay, never mind. She
got
the Academy Award. She's not a B-lister at all.
I was going to say, like, it seems like, okay, she wrote Juno, Young Adult with Charlize Theron, The United States of Terra, which I love that show. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's on HBO. It's a throwback.
Came
out
I'm taking a break from TV, actually.
Does that mean that you watch like just a few hours a day?
I just watch YouTube. It's so funny because it's like, it's YouTube.
Oh, so it's TV, but just like
it's not. It's just
TV
like
on ecstasy.
I'm like learning. I'm learning things. It's so boring. It's like I go through like modes. I go through modes of like constant television, like 20 TV shows in like 3 months, and then I'm like, all right, I'm burnt out, so I'm gonna learn things on YouTube for like 2 months. Anyway,
I need a break.
So,
okay, Diablo Cody, esteemed writer that we did not know enough about clearly, but have loved.
Because we're idiots. Yeah.
I'm bad with names. Drops out. And then in 2019, Margot Robbie joins, and she's like, no, I'm going to do this. 2019, Margot Robbie joins. Yeah, it's a new studio. Sony's out. So, from Sony to Warner Brothers. So Sony's out, Warner Brothers steps in, and she gets Olivia Milch. Do you know that person? Oh, apparently
but so like, I guess Mattel. So this is how much I don't know about Hollywood. It's like, I guess Mattel's on the ride for all of these conversations. WB is like, we're going to buy the rights or something. Cause that, I don't quite understand how Hollywood works half the time, but
I don't either. I feel like maybe there was, maybe the studio, like maybe Warner Brothers made some kind of deal with Sony to say like, or maybe Sony was like, honestly, this has been many years in the making and nothing has come to fruition. So take it. So I remember reading something about Mattel saying like, well, Barbie can't be the butt of the joke of the movie. And so that was the core aspect, is like, we're not making fun of Barbie.
They're not wrong.
We want this to be something that like celebrates Barbie, even if it's sarcastic and witty and whatever. But it's not like Barbie is capitalist machine and we hate Barbie, right? Like they're not going to sign on for that version of the film. So Margot Robbie jumps in, and I remember I watched an interview with her recently where she said, she was going to produce the movie. She approaches Greta about it and says, I don't have to be Barbie, but apparently Greta was like, no, you got to be Barbie. Like, look at you. So there's our Barbie.
Interesting. Well, because I there's some story I saw maybe on TikTok or Instagram or something where Margot Robbie apparently went into the meeting and was like, look, this is going to be $1 billion film, so we should do this. And it's been positioned that she was the force that pushed for Greta and all that, which by the way, I didn't know that Greta and Noah are married.
Oh, I
You
didn't know
know
that
it?
either.
Yeah. Hey, I did my research too.
Look at you bringing facts to the table.
Noah Baumbach and Greta are married, and they wrote the script together,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
why it is a cis story, not to
Well,
use a
yeah.
derogatory term, according to Elon Musk. But
Oh my God. X. We stand for X in this household. No, we
that's
don't.
right.
I
Do
didn't
we
even
do
have
we not?
Twitter. I didn't even have Twitter. So
Do
I
you
don't
not?
care. No, I mean, I probably have accounts, but I don't use them.
All right. Well,
I
anyway,
don't.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
So yeah.
is that the final
So that's yeah, it sounds
act?
like that was like they come on as co-writers. Margot Robbie is like, let's do this. And so now we've got people who are actually like devoted to the project, see a vision. It works with
Yeah.
Mattel's image. And I think, you know, they're a good pair for writing a story like this that does appeal to a
Right.
mass audience, which is the only way you're
Right.
going to get it to be $1 billion film or to be
Right.
a film that it is today.
Right.
So that's the story. I guess in
How it was
2021,
made.
Greta
Wow.
said she was not just going to be a co-writer, she's going to be the director. So that was when,
Boom.
yeah, that
Greta
was when all the
crushes.
stars aligned. So
All the
what did
stars
you
line.
think? What are your thoughts on the movie? How did you
Oh, are
feel
we
giddy
transitioning to the
inside?
movie now? I mean,
I don't know. We can do what you want.
unless there's more stuff in the making of, I don't mind, but
Well, that's the end
um
of the article I have.
yeah, I mean that's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can transition to the film. I mean, I loved the film. It's funny because I went into that weekend thinking that Oppenheimer to me is the bigger film. It's the more important film from a more famous director, maybe from my cis male thinking.
Yeah, I was like, damn,
Um,
you're really, really going after it.
well, I mean, look, like I am a sci-fi person, so you got
Yeah, yeah.
Interstellar, Inception, Memento. These are like some of my favorite films of all
Oh
time.
God,
Dark
Memento
Knight,
is so good.
so good. So like I don't know Greta Gerwig's work that well, to be completely honest. I haven't watched most of her stuff, so I'm going into and I had read the Oppenheimer book, and so
Okay, okay.
I'm like kind of primed. American Prometheus, great book. I think, in fact, when I watched Oppenheimer, I was like, how could you watch this film without reading the book? Um,
Oh, interesting.
just because, like, you'll see, like, Oppenheimer is full of characters. It's just like, oh, and Oppenheimer met Einstein, and then he met, Lawrence, who's connected to Lawrence Livermore Lab, and then he meets like Tuller and all these people who are, very famous scientists, but they're not positioned as such in the film. I mean, they are, but it's
Yeah,
just
if you
like,
know them, then you get the
yeah, it's like,
significance.
here's
Yeah.
Lawrence, and it's like, you didn't know, like, if you read the book, you'd be like, oh, this guy is like Lawrence Livermore Lab. He's like one of the most famous scientists of all time, blah, blah, blah. You just don't know that getting into the film. So I was like looking at everybody else in the cinema. I was like, do you know who that
Do you
is? Like,
get it? Yeah.
yeah, that's Albert Einstein, relativity, But anyway, so I went into that weekend thinking, hey, Oppenheimer is going to be the more important film. And then I think I came out of that weekend thinking, hey, Barbie was better than I thought it would be. And then a week after Barbie, I was like, that's the film that sticks with me. Oppenheimer isn't the film that sticks with me, even though I
Interesting.
love the film. And I think it's an important film. I think it's important for America to confront its own sin. I think Barbie
Now I feel like we got
confronts,
to come back and talk about it after I've seen it.
yeah. I mean, it's a bunch of very educated white men creating the most destructive, weapon in human history. Um, but Barbie, I walked away from Barbie being like, wow, that was better than I thought, because the trailer sucked, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe
Sorry
they
to the
didn't. I
editor.
was wondering, like, maybe they didn't want to give too much away, or maybe they
Yeah,
just banked on the fact that there are enough people who know what Barbie is. Like, it's a big enough
right,
name that they're like, you'll come. You don't need to
right,
be enticed.
right. Oh, actually, here's another making of. Apparently, Mattel uh was prepping for this film, or at least prepping all the partnerships for the film 18 months ahead of time. So Pinkberry and all these things, which to me is interesting because the strike happens around the time Barbie comes out, and then Mattel kind of doesn't necessarily need the stars to advertise for them
Yeah.
because they already have these, brands that are co-branding for them. And like
Yeah.
Inter Miami has their first game with Messi and he's wearing pink. Like I was like, what? That's perfect. I don't think they worked that out, but anyway. So
And I
anyway,
think
yeah, I felt the
similar.
film.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like my last night, I feel like I felt the film was better than I expected, and it grows on me the more I think about it. So
Yeah.
I'll end it there. Yeah.
Which I think is a good sign of, or is a sign of good storytelling, right? And good,
Yeah.
even good lines. Like some of the lines I'll just say because they're
Please.
funny and ridiculous. But I was gonna say in response to the advertising and the trailer, like just not really, because I remember thinking like this movie seems fine. I'll probably watch it just because
Right.
why not?
Right.
But I wasn't excited about it until I kept seeing everyone on social media talking about it. And I think similar to the Lego movie and just Legos generally, they have like grassroots marketing on lock, right? Like
Right.
everyone wearing pink and going in the Barbie boxes. I used to just put a Barbie box outside of the theater and you're going to get people talking about it because they get to wear their
Right.
cute little outfit in a Barbie box.
Which is awesome
That's
because
genius.
just seeing people dressed up in pink everywhere was kind of nuts. You know,
Yeah.
a
Yeah, in New
cultural
York,
moment.
like everywhere I went, I'm like, oh, I've seen 15 people walking around in bright green pink or bright pink. I'm just looking at myself, the green, but bright pink. So I know where they're headed. And there's a theater by my house. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know where these soldiers are
Yeah.
headed.
These soldiers,
Barbieland.
these cultural zeitgeistians,
Yes.
you know, totally. Well, what was your impression of it?
So I think I went into it with a higher expectation than I'd had maybe like 2 months before. Like you said, only seeing the trailer, I was like, this will be fine. And it's Margot Robbie
Yeah.
and it's Ryan Gosling and like they're adorable white people. So like it'll be cute. But I didn't know like what it was about. And I think that was maybe part of the mystique is like, well, what is this actually going to be about? And when I was going into the theater, I was pretty excited because people were like, it's so good. It's so good. You have to see it. And as people were coming out of the showing before, they're like, I didn't realize it was going to be so emotional. I'm like, what?
Oh, when you're entering the theater, that's hilarious.
It's emotional. Okay. But I'd seen like, snippets of America Ferrera's feminist monologue at the end, which I
Oh,
think
you already seen the snippets.
well, I'd seen not the actual like clip, but people
Yeah.
had been like posting the words on, their stories or
Right.
whatever. So you
It
couldn't
steals the
really
show.
escape it. Yeah. And well, I think something about this movie is that I really enjoyed it. I loved Barbies growing up. And so some of like the really funny, like you can tell that whoever was a part of writing the script or reviewing it or editing it played with Barbies. Cause there's so much like even Weird Barbie is iconic because everybody had a weird Barbie. Everybody had a
Right.
Barbie that they had mutilated in some shameful way. I used my mom's curling iron and like melted the side of my Barbie's face. And then I just hid the curling iron and the Barbie under my bed. I think I just admitted this to my mom like 5 years ago. Like when that curling iron went missing, it was me.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Well, good job.
So there were like, those little gems that were really nostalgic. But I think from a feminist point of view,
Oh,
I
here we
don't
go.
know that
All
like
right.
I learned, like I think it was really good. I thought it was
Yeah.
really good. I think that it is probably more educational for people who have never thought about feminism or like
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
about it that often. So like like America Ferrera, I'm like, girl, I had that monologue at brunch 6 years ago, like women have to do it all.
But I think
I know.
this is why I like the film is because it's a mainstream film
Yeah.
and a mainstream brand, arguably one of the biggest brands on earth.
Right.
And it is getting an audience that probably doesn't think about this all the time. Probably is going to end up talking about it at the dinner table, which is my favorite thing about it. Probably not
Yeah.
as progressive as us progressives on like who've been thinking about this for a decade or more. But that's why I think it's an important film. And I think my favorite thing was, I don't know, the China article that I think I sent into one of our chats. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I remember the article. I don't think I clicked it, but tell me, give me info. Summarize it. I wanted to hear you say it.
See, this is a metaphor for our friendship, you see. No, but like basically it's like Chinese girls or women are sending their girlfriends who have boyfriends to the theater as a test of their men. So it's like if you're if she's she's like like if like I don't know, it's hard to describe like it's like the friend of the friend is sending the friend so that they can see how the boyfriend reacts. But you understand, like
yeah.
they want to see if the boyfriend is on Barbie's side.
Right. Do you feel like you're man enough, or do you feel like you need a kinland with a lot of rugged things? Yeah.
Right. Which I think is awesome. It's like a Trojan horse. It's
like
here's the biggest brand in the world, and of course everybody's going to watch it because it's the biggest movie in the world. And then shit, now I'm stuck in a conversation about feminism that I wasn't signed up for. That's hilarious. That makes this film more and more awesome to me.
Yeah. And I think that they were able to do a lot of stuff really, like, I don't know, subtly or like really skillfully, like how to make a movie about Mattel that like kind of pokes fun at Barbie, but also does like allows Mattel to produce it.
Right. Well, I mean,
they do
I
that
actually,
in such a good way.
I actually, I was one of those people who like, whipped open my phone and checked if Mattel's leadership really is all male.
I did too.
I had to check. I had to be like, yo,
but the CEO is a man.
The CEO is a man. He is a man.
And the women in leadership, there was like, I think when I looked it up, it was like one was maybe like an HR kind of role. One was like communications and one was film. And I guess the woman who is like the person in charge of Barbie films, like went on the record and was like, this is not a feminist film. And Greta was like, what?
Wait, what?
And then, yeah.
One of the leadership at Mattel. Well,
but it's in their best interest to not put that word, like even in the movie, they talk about the patriarchy a lot, but like they don't say feminism as like its anecdote.
Right.
So
here we go.
Yes, Robbie Brenner. That's who said it. Ugh.
She said it's not a feminist film.
Yes. Wow. So now Google Robbie Brenner not feminist film, and I bet you'll find a few articles. But I guess her reaction, like her pivot was, well, regardless of what we call it, like this is, empowering for girls and blah, blah, blah. But it's not supposed to be feminist because, they don't want to end up like Bud Light or these other products that are just getting burned.
Oh, Margot Robbie didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Not a
feminist
well,
film.
I mean, is it bad? Well, this is a whole conversation. Is it a feminist film, and should it be considered a feminist film? What do you?
I mean, maybe
as a representative of the female
of the womankind.
Oh yeah,
As a representative of Barbie, I'd like to say, I think maybe there is some truth to like, does it matter how we label it? I think there's a good answer for yes and a good answer for no. I think we can get lost in the debate of saying like, how feminist is it? Some people are remarking that they took their daughters to watch it and their daughters were like, well, what's patriarchy? And like you said, now it's starting a conversation that maybe would have been more awkward or difficult to have before. So I think that it has a lot of essence that supports women in our society. I think that it does a good job of poking, like when they come into the real world and Barbie's like, everyone's looking at us, and like she's describing how she feels, and Ken's like, there's no sexual undertone. She's like, oh, there's definitely a sexual undertone with how they're looking at me. And so I think that there are some really good like themes there. I think, if an ultra feminist progressive person had directed this movie, it'd be a very different film. I don't think that means that this isn't a valuable film for like intro to feminism. Because it's not valuable.
You're saying it's not?
No, I'm saying I think just because there could have been a more feminist version doesn't mean that this doesn't have a value in the conversation. Because I think it does.
Yeah.
Like like if Barbie can be dropped into the real world of present day and still be sexualized and like not credited for her work, like if she's still not, at the top of the
Right.
hierarchy, then
Yeah.
even European perfection can't save us. Eurocentric maybe is a better phrase. Blonde hair, blue eyes, very slim frame, And I
Well,
think that's the thing that some people had an issue with is it with Barbie generally is that like, and I think the daughter's supposed to represent this is like, Gloria's daughter is supposed to represent this
yeah.
where, there's a rejection of Barbie as, well, this just continues to perpetuate these impossible standards for women. Can we actually even ever meet those? And I think part of what the movie does is show that like, even with these standards, like even those women don't get equal rights.
Right. I mean, it's dripping with different types of lessons or questions that a dinner table or a drive home could have.
Yeah.
Which is funny that it is picked up so much in conservative cities or conservative states. And I wonder to what extent that has played out actually. It's like, let's go watch Sound of Freedom and Barbie,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's interesting in the post-abortion world. We got Barbie. It's almost like Barbie should have come a year earlier, I feel like, because
Well,
I do wonder
everything
if
was
it will
stalled.
have a significant impact on the national conversation around these topics or not. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I like hilariously connected to that is the Midge Barbie. So I loved that they showed us all of these Barbies that were discontinued, and Midge was the one who was pregnant.
Oh, Midge Barbie. I forgot about
And
her. Yeah,
apparently, like the uterus, like the stomach detached. I was reading this article and it said that it was like mostly discontinued because it was super grotesque, like to look at. Like no one wants to remove the belly and see this weird little fetus inside.
Oh
But
my
also there
God.
was like there was
That's
also
so
backlash
funny.
because that Midge wasn't boxed with a man. So like, was Midge married? Does she even have a father for this
Oh,
child?
right. It was
Yeah.
Alan. It was Alan.
Yeah.
I was just like out there, just like,
Are you?
oh, hi everybody.
What did you think of Alan? Did you like him?
I mean, I always like Michael Cera. So, I think
Yeah.
he is like such a self-aware actor, character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I always loved him, but I felt like
Speaking of Juno.
it was also nice to have, not another Ken. So I was like, okay, there's a non-Ken in the mix here. Is Alan a real
Yeah.
doll?
Well, yeah. Alan's
No.
real, and he is trademarked. Like the line that describes him is trademarked for reasons that I'm unclear about, but maybe so that you couldn't become, part of the gay agenda. But
Oh my God.
Alan is Ken's buddy.
Right.
That is the trademark description. So
Oh,
Barbie wants to
really?
be
Oh, that's
yeah.
oh my God. Oh man. Perfect.
But
Oh, man.
Alan's a man of the people. In the movie, he's like, look, I don't want to be down with their
Right.
creepy bro thing they've got going. I just want
Right.
to like be loved,
Right.
be acknowledged.
He's just hanging out. Whatever. I don't know. Like, yeah, cool. That's like his whole deal, which is great because I
Yeah,
feel like he then becomes, I mean, it's great the way that they deal with humor throughout the film. I mean, it's very smart. So I think that
it's
that's
so
in and of
smart.
itself very impressive. Yeah. It's hard to like, it's hard to imagine a film that has done that better, in my opinion, especially dealing with something so sensitive, but it's not sensitive.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird, this is why I love thinking about the film so much. Oppenheimer is just like, it's like, spoilers kind of, but not really, but it's like, he's a brilliant scientist, probably a genius. He made a bomb. We killed a lot of people we maybe shouldn't have. But then should
And
we
people
have?
were killed in
I
the
don't
making
know.
of that bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people were killed. And then he lived a life of regret. We destroyed him. Blah blah blah. It's like, it's kind of like this is it's complex, but it's interestingly enough not as complex as like a woman's role in society, or even the question
A
of that.
doll's role.
A doll's role
Yeah.
in society. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. Like Oppenheimer's like not complicated in terms of its like the morality doesn't seem that complicated now. Like the hindsight of it is like, ooh, this was awful.
Right.
Then we treated him awful when he realized how awful it
Right.
was.
Right.
Like, ooh,
Like we've resolved
that's
those
gross.
moral quandaries around,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, although it is still people still debate whether or not we should have dropped the bomb. Okay, that's a debate.
Well, yeah.
But that's been a debate that we already know all the arguments for. We don't
Right.
know all the arguments for what Barbie is grappling with,
Yeah,
we do,
and
and we haven't
Barbie
grappled
has
with them.
been right. Barbie's been around for a long time. And I think a lot of people, especially like people who played with Barbies growing up and who become adults, I think there's been a lot of conversation, probably intimately, about what role does Barbie have, or, things like that. Like
Right.
I remember I grew up, when I was growing up, I used to wear pink and subversively, which I'll explain. But I remember pink is like associated with being feminine and being dainty and not good at sports and like very girly. And I hated that concept. So anytime I played sports, I would wear pink. And like anytime I did
As
something that
you're
was like,
rebranding pink.
yes,
You're
yes.
rebranding pink. Okay.
But I think, there's like these waves, but like as I've gotten older, I'm like, but I'm also not rejecting like uber femininity. Like when anyone does it, like I love,
Right.
dresses and wearing pink and all these other things. And so
Right.
I think there's like a constant shift in like on a grand scale, but also a personal level of what does feminism mean to me? How do
Right.
I perform feminism well? And I think something I've been seeing a lot when people are talking about the bimbo era. Have you heard of this on TikTok? Like people are like embracing bimbos, so reclaiming that word. And so like Marilyn Monroe and what's her name, Nicole Kidman. No, not Nicole Kidman. Who's the one who married the old guys?
Nicole oh no. Michelle Yeoh.
No,
She did marry a much older man. No, but
no,
congratulations, Michelle.
she's like the 90s blonde bombshell. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about? She's a Playboy bunny. Anyway, basically like Playboy bunnies generally could be a part of this. But like the idea that maybe we should stop concerning ourselves with how we perform anything. Like don't let anybody tell you the way you exist is wrong, whether it's like you're uber feminine or you're masked or you're like doing, just existing in whatever way you exist. Like maybe the biggest theme is that you should just do what you want. And if what you want is to play with Barbies and wear pink, like do that. And if what you want is to wear power suits, like do that. And if you want to do both, do that. I think that's something that is kind of valuable about the Barbie movie. And yeah, just like, I think some people have an aversion to Barbie because it is so pink and pretty and feminine. And I think that like as a rule is wrong. Like we shouldn't just be swiping out ways that people can be feminine. I think that's part of the problem.
Right.
If people want to be
which I guess
like do it.
Is that viewpoint personified by the daughter character?
Yeah, I think so.
Which was a needed
they don't really
character.
suss it out.
They don't. Which I appreciated actually, because I felt like if they spent too much time on that, then it would have become this rabbit hole that is hard for the movie to come out of in a way. It's like we just have to have her. We acknowledge that this is how Barbie has been portrayed, and it's wrapped up in this everything that you're saying. But we got to move on from this. Like we got to deal with we got to deal with Barbie's issues. Yeah, we got to get back to Barbieland.
Tim's losing his shit. Yeah,
exactly. We got to deal with actual patriarchy right now. One of my friends was like, actually, which I have to go back and watch the film, but I guess Barbie in the end apologizes to Ken. And
okay, go ahead, keep going.
And they were like, why did Barbie have to apologize to Ken? I mean, we acknowledge that, yes, you didn't see him for what he needed or whatever, but he literally stole your house and took over your entire land and Supreme Court and all this kind of stuff. So like, why are you apologizing? Why isn't he apologizing? Which I'm not sure if he does.
Does he apologize?
I have to go back to watch film, but Yeah.
I thought, for some
It's
reason, I thought he did. And that when he was like, honestly, once I realized the patriarchy wasn't about horses, I like didn't have much interest in it. Like I thought that was a
yeah.
part of his apology scene. But I
That's fair.
kind
That's
of
fair. That's fair.
yeah, like putting a pin in whether, because like if he doesn't actually say he's sorry, I think that's worthy of conversation. But I think part of why she apologizes is she's recognizing like you're still a human being, and I've been treating you with like just complete disregard. She has no
Right.
like compassion or interest in his
Right.
feelings. And so I think it's worthwhile for people to recognize like you have some hurt in your heart that I probably could have helped keep
Right.
away. And I'm sorry, but I think she doesn't like then like kiss him out of pity or like
Right.
enter a romantic relationship. She's like, I hope you figure out your shit.
Yeah. Like,
I'm
and
so
then move
sorry
on,
for what
which I
I contributed.
appreciated.
Good luck. Yeah, good
Yeah.
luck.
Which is a very adult response.
Yeah.
Boundaries. It's a very, very adult. It's like late 30s adult. It's not
Yes.
a late 20s adult.
Which is really curious. Like so many of the Barbies and Kens are older, and I kind of loved that. Like the actors are older actors. It's
Oh,
not like
right,
we
right,
took,
right.
the up and coming like 20 somethings and made them
That's
Barbies, which
interesting.
maybe, yeah.
It's like a
I liked
millennial
that they
film.
were more mature. Yeah. I mean, because
Yeah.
who's going to the theater the most is the millennials
Right. Right.
and their
Yeah,
kids.
this is true. It's true. I mean, the way that the film kind of leveled up its maturity every step of the way, and then kind of like Mike dropped the last scene, like the absolute last scene. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, oh my god, this is like, I thought we already had enough
Yeah, I know.
conversations in this film, and you're gonna drop that one at the very end. Like I could just see like a conservative man taking his wife and daughter to see his film, and he's like already like angry at the film, and the last scene he's like,
Oh yeah.
what?
Not the gynecologist,
That
the vagina doctor.
Why are you gonna bring up
Anyone.
the college? You're not supposed to think about that until you're 18.
Giving her support, like you've got this. Some other characters who I think don't get a lot of shine in conversation, but are hilarious are Gloria's husband, who I think like this is also a little nugget. The guy, so America Ferrera's husband in the movie, I thought his placement was hilarious. He doesn't do much, but I love that they're like, what
I don't
about
even remember him.
dad? We're just
That's so funny.
exactly. When they're
That's
driving to
hilarious.
Barbieland with Barbie, the daughter's like, what about dad? And America Ferrera's like, he'll be fine. And they've like cut to him and he's like trying to learn Spanish.
Right.
Like
Right.
he'll
He's
be
fine.
fine. He's barely
Men are
aware of
self-sufficient.
people around it. Yeah. And like kind of dumb.
Yeah. God damn it. That's funny. Oh my god.
Classic. Who were some
Well,
other favorite characters of yours?
well, before we get into that, I back to my friend who was kind of critiquing the film. I felt so they're in a
Oh yeah.
LGBTQ plus relationship, have been for a very long time. So it was interesting hearing their take, like both of them. And that for them, it's similar to what you said. It's like, these are things that they thought 10, 20 years ago. This was not new.
Yeah.
And also that it was like, this is a very, straight, very cis heterosexual film. And so I was like, and so in that sense, they were a little sad actually about the
Yeah.
film, in the sense
Yeah.
that it was like, we're finally here, or that we have to be reminded that this is where we're at by this film. So it's kind of an interesting perspective, because I, like, as a cis male, walked away from the film feeling like, finally this film is out. Yay. No way. Like, good. We're like, stick it to whoever like doesn't think about this enough, or I don't know what, but
Yeah.
and then to hear the other perspective, which is like, no, it sucks that that this is progressive today in
Right.
2023, right? So
Yeah. I mean, I think it connects to a point you made earlier of, to have a box office slam that has this kind of content is unusual, is unprecedented, perhaps. So like having a female director, writer, having, Margot Robbie as the producer, and having so much back support from Mattel, like they put their money where their mouth is. They also made a lot of money and their stock has risen. So like having all of that, I think in and of itself has like set a record, has set a couple of records. But I also was reading, and I think I'd have to think more about this to figure out where I stand, but I was reading some articles because I was wondering, like, how do, especially like how does the trans community think about this film? And I was reading this really good piece. I'll send it to you, but it was about how Barbie represents trans identity. And I was like, hold your horses, you're wild Ryan Goslings. Because, and the idea was like, one, Barbies don't have genitalia, like that was said multiple times in the movie. And so at the end, the kind of like interaction with the creator of Barbie, she's basically saying like, no one has to approve you being yourself. If you are Barbie and you are a woman, like nobody has to give you validation for that. Like that is who you are. That's your essence. And so then ending at the gynecologist, like I'm probably butchering the beauty of this article and how they described it, but like then going to the gynecologist, it was like Barbie's affirming that she's a woman and no one had to give her permission to do so. So there was like a journey and an analog of coming out as trans, and like what does that mean? Like nobody had the Senate and the Supreme Court don't have to affirm that you are who you are. Like only you can do that. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take. And then there was an article, and maybe it was a sub part of this article, but there was an analysis of like, this is a queer as fuck movie. And it's just like hidden in the shadows because they show like, there's like a snapshot of some of they're like, a lot of the actors in this film are LGBTQ plus. Like,
so they approved. So like, is that seen as approval?
I don't know that it was approval, like this is the film we would want to represent the progress of the queer community, but I think it was definitely like, this isn't like super cis washed, right? Like there are some little things, like I think there were references in the script and like the actual language used in the movie that were like queer code. And then there was like a picture of a bunch of the Barbies, and they're like, tell me these Barbies aren't lesbians. And I was dying because I was like, a lot of them actually are lesbians in real life. And they were like, Barbie's queer at least, because like Barbie does not care about any of these kins. She's not paying these kids any mind. Like Barbie is about to go to the real world and get her a boo, and it's not going to be a man.
But to be fair, it is very heavily implied that she was dating Ken. But we gotta.
Well, but like, was she? Like, maybe he was her beard, and that's why she treated him like shit, and that's why she apologized, because she's like, I shouldn't have done that to you. You didn't even consent to being my beard. My bad, dog.
That's just because I guess the film never necessarily fully confirms that they were dating, but they were kind of living together.
No, that was her house. She would say like, okay, it's girls' night every night. He never got to come home. He never got to stay over.
Never got to go over. You're right. Okay.
So
all right.
I think
so it's a Trojan horse.
Can be a part 2 conversation. Yeah.
It's a cis movie with a Trojan horse LGBTQ plus underlying that. If you look just beyond the pale, you realize that she's actually transitioning. This is a transitioning film.
Maybe. I mean, I think it was an Out magazine, so it wasn't like it was just some like random blog, but it was published in Out magazine. I'll have to check it out. But I was reading an article about Hari Nef, the trans actress who's in the film.
Okay.
You know which Barbie this is? She's one of the Barbies.
The
one who Ryan Gosling takes her glasses off and is like, "You're beautiful now." With like the long hair.
What's their name?
Hari Nef, Hari, last name Nef.
Allowing me to search here.
But she was saying, like, I think she made a lot of good points about why she likes the film. One, grew up playing with Barbies, loved fashion and felt like fashion was a part of like her saving grace in her adolescence. And then also said that when she was, whoever hired her, whoever saw her, like, I don't know what they're called, I don't know the lingo, but whoever saw her
Ari Neff
audition
Yeah.
didn't know that she was trans. So it wasn't like they were like, okay, we've got to put a trans actress here in the Barbie role. It was like they thought that she was delivering the essence of what they wanted from that particular Barbie. So they hired her and they were like, oh, we didn't know she was trans. So she is proud of that fact that it wasn't, you know, just like we're
Right.
checking boxes.
Oh, wow.
Which is
Hari Neff. Yeah, I
Yes.
didn't understand how when you pronounced it. I thought it was Ari Neff, but it's Hari Harinef. I thought it was Arineth.
I
I
need
don't know.
people to comment below if you heard Hari Neff.
Don't comment. Don't even think about it. How dare you?
Wow, it's the dictatorship.
Yeah, this is the Mintatorship.
This is Kidland or whatever they called it.
Oh my god. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So I think
that's
there's
great
some,
though.
yeah, I think there's more to the conversation about who does this movie support? What are kind of some of the subtleties that maybe they like weaved in so that it could be a big box office hit, but also still allow people to shine. I think from a racial aspect, I'll just quickly say some of like the like, I don't know that I felt Tiffany Tang or maybe I shouldn't have said her full name. Our friend. Forget what you just heard. You can't understand the names I say anyway, so hopefully no one.
I don't understand who you're referring to anyway. So
well, our close friend gave me a word that I thought was delicious and very appropriate. That race felt very perfunctory in this movie.
Perfunctory.
Yeah, right.
I forget, what does perfunctory mean again? I don't remember.
It's like kind of performative, kind of forced, kind of like an afterthought. Like done because it should be done and not necessarily like in the way of Hari Neff being hired without anyone knowing that or without the person knowing she was a trans actress. It felt the opposite with like some of the racial components just felt like we're going to make this a visually diverse cast.
Right.
But like some of the more intimate scenes, you know, like the opening and closing monologue or like visuals of montages of women, I don't know. Like, I guess I can't really put my finger on it, but sometimes the racial component just felt like, see, we're inclusive, but maybe I'm being a harsh critic.
I mean, you know, not to put you on further on the spot, but is race more complex than gender? Maybe that's not the right.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know that that's how I'd frame it. I think that there is a constant question, especially for women who are not white, there's a constant forcing of you to choose one if you're intersectional. And I think that comes with a lot of different intersectionalities. Like if you're a queer Black woman, which part of your identity are you going to be, you know, advocating the most for? And I think maybe the best view of that is that like, maybe we don't need to do that. Maybe we just treat everyone gets equality and we don't have to figure it out. But I think because there's a lot of divisiveness within communities, like if you are, you know, a part of a certain community and they value, you know, race, but they don't value queerness as much, then maybe you feel like you have to choose, or vice versa. If you feel like within your queer community, there's a racial hierarchy, then that can, you know, that can be disappointing and disheartening. And yeah.
So. That's fair. I do think, I guess the seed of that question is that like, would it have made it's hard. It's already, the movie's already trying to do a lot. And so like, and then like, do you want to tackle race? Well, and to be fair, Greta and Noah, I think are both white. I'm pretty sure they're both white.
But I think that I think that they probably couldn't. I would like giving them the most benefit of the doubt. I imagine that it would be difficult, and maybe maybe it was difficult for them to figure out how to do this. And also, I think that they do poke fun at the fact that Margot Robbie is like very like the generic Eurocentric beauty. Yeah, she's the stereotypical Barbie. And so when she's like,
which they have to do.
Yeah, they're like giving her speech and she's like, I just don't feel beautiful. They're like, this is the wrong actress to hire.
Right.
Margot Robbie's the
Right.
wrong actress to hire if you're trying to make this point.
Right.
So there is an awareness, but there's not necessarily like a resolution to some of the things. But I guess the way I was thinking about it in the movie is like, it's not necessarily a critique I have. It's more that I'm aware that if someone else, like even if Issa Rae or someone had made this movie, had been the producer or the writer, it would have been a much different film, because there is a way of centering parts of your identity that comes easier when they are your actual identity.
Right. Right. Totally.
So
Well, maybe that's Barbie too. I mean, there is a sequel.
It
Apparently.
probably won't be good.
Mattel's cinematic universe. Well, this gets to the thing that I thought about a lot with this film, is this film like a rebrand for Mattel / Barbie? Because in a way it was like, hey, we can address, what a brilliant way to rebrand Barbie, which is to address the zeitgeist around Barbie and then transcend that zeitgeist and do so with some of the biggest stars in Hollywood, up and coming director. Right. It's just kind of a masterclass, while X, of course, is doing one of the worst rebrands ever.
How do you make everyone turn against a company instantly? Like he's
I know.
really writing the book on that.
And then how do you make a beloved brand even more beloved?
Yeah.
Barbie.
Well, and I think maybe even, a declining brand, a brand that feels like it might be losing its relevance.
Right.
How do you do a refresh that is authentic? And I think you don't do that by like purely marketing from Mattel. And I taught I taught an undergrad class on business management. And one of the cases that we refer to a lot is Legoland, or is Lego, not Legoland, is Lego, and thinking about the different ways that they strategize and went from like their business was really failing in a number of key years, and they had a resurgence, and is probably like the most recognizable brand in the world potentially, because every time I've ever taught that class, international students, everyone has played with Legos, or has actually I think all of my students had played with Legos, but I think at least most people know what Lego is, even if they've never played with one.
Right.
Whereas Barbie has maybe is a little more narrow than that, but is still really recognizable. So I think they can follow, and maybe are following in the Lego strategy, because Lego used its movies, and then also really allowed a lot of potential IP infringement with YouTube. Like people just create their own little YouTube video or movies with Legos and Lego characters, and they don't sue them. And part of that is because they know that that's advertising.
Right. Well, I feel like Lego is unique in that sense. It's like it is, by the nature of the way the toy actually works. Because I don't know if you've actually put, you say you play. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You don't feel like it doesn't feel like you're a builder to me. You feel like you're more of like
this feels like sexism.
So the nature of the toy allows you to be like, hey, I can make like a Star Wars thing, I can make, and therefore, or I can make like a Star Trek thing, or I can make a dinosaur Jurassic Park thing. So it lends itself well to like also partnerships, as well as to any, like there's an open source element where anybody can make. Whereas I wonder if Barbie is a kind of toy, like I guess you can make Barbie do anything, I guess.
I saw someone remade the R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet videos with Barbies. I saw that the other day, and I was like, this is psychotic.
But to be fair,
Barbie
the Barbie
has an
brand,
entire universe and accessories and houses and like anything a human can do, they've made a Barbie a Barbie component.
It's fair.
And I grew up playing Barbie computer games too. There was Barbie Fashion Runway, and I was addicted.
I mean, I feel like that lends itself well to certain types of partnerships, but you might not have Barbie, and maybe I'm wrong, but Barbie and Star Wars, like that might not happen.
Why? I don't know that it will, right? I'm not saying I know that these two companies have spoken and they're like, but I think like one of the holdups with Lego for a long time with its partnerships was that they were like, well, we don't want to have guns. And once they got over that, once they were like, we can have guns in our toy collection, like the world opened up. So I think there's like, Lego started off as wooden toys and grew into these plastic building bricks
Right.
that can create any
Right.
world. I think there's a similar kind of potential with Barbie. I'm not saying that they'll capitalize on it as well as Lego did.
Right. Right.
And I think they might do it in different ways, but I think it's one of those kinds of toys that has such like has a lot of possibility because of
Oh,
the nature
totally
of
agreed.
it.
Well, it's interesting because, arguably from some metrics, Pokemon is the bigger brand, like the bigger franchise than Barbie. But Pokemon has gone this path where they just make these really unique partnerships that extend into new technologies.
Yeah.
They, I don't think they, or if I never heard of them partnering with other brands, which is kind of a unique. I don't know. It's very unique. I mean, Barbie obviously is partnering with everybody under the sun that they could right now for this film,
Yeah.
and I guess that means that they could in the future as well. Like you could have Barbie eating Pinkberry like as an actual Barbie, or Barbie
Yeah.
working at Pinkberry or
Oh
something like
yeah.
that.
Like that
Yeah.
is that's small potatoes. I remember growing up and like anything I did, I wanted Barbie to do. So like my Barbie
Right.
had a
Right.
pink car that was the same as my dad's like
Right.
SUV. It was a Toyota of some sort. So like there's a
Right.
lot of partnerships that probably have already existed or that used to exist. And I think now that they're refreshing their brand, it just gives them potential to say like, who else could we partner with? And now and because of everyone enjoying the movie and going out and all these records being broken, I think that gives them more leverage to
Right. To do all that.
offer
Right.
new partnerships. Yeah.
Well, I mean, do they have an LGBTQ plus Barbie?
I don't know that they do, but I actually don't know. Like that's something I just genuinely don't know. I could imagine that they have never had explicitly two Barbies that are of the same sex or non-binary who are in a relationship.
Well, it's interesting because when I look at, this like generally, I have to say, my position is that I think I don't like it when corporations, and it's kind of contradictory because I love that the way that Barbie did it, but I I don't like it when corporations kind of get political. But that's just my political position.
Is it political to have sexual
So
identity
that's so I
represented?
guess so I guess that's the debate that I get a lot. But when I look at, and it's like, and I guess the problem, of course, with my position is that normal, quote unquote, normal issues that I view as normal are politicized. So like to
Right.
me, it's normal that you, um, I don't know, that you're a trans person or you're a queer person or whatever. That's just normal, and who cares? But
Yeah.
it's politicized, and then Bud Light does its thing, and then now it's like stock is down and people don't want to buy it, because they made a blunder in terms of understanding who their
Well,
audience was. But if
well, yeah.
Barbie is going to eventually go down that path, I would hope of like, hey, we're going to create queer Barbies and things like that.
And I think like
Um,
the essence of Barbie is that Barbie is living in a world as like an imitation of a human. So there are
right,
relationships. Like there
right,
are some Barbies that like there's a wedding dress for Barbie. There's like
right,
they are
right,
promoting some types of relationships and potentially not
right,
others. So that's a choice, right? And that's a choice that they've made or
right,
already have, like it's Bud Light doesn't have to say any of that in order for the beer to exist as it does. So that's like a
right,
different kind of choice, like a forced choice where, or like, they're wanting to do this rather than being
right,
required. I think you could argue,
right.
and just as a side note and a funny note, because I think a lot of people have talked about this on the internet, like a lot of people play with Barbies and make them queer. So make them LGBTQ. So
Like
like,
anyway, right?
it's
It's
already
modular.
being done. Yes. The Barbies have been scissoring. So power to the people.
Oh my god, what is scissoring again? No, I was kidding. Um,
A different podcast or a different live stream. Probably a podcast, so I don't have to have my face on it.
that's funny. Um, yeah. which is exciting because all of this is exciting to me because now I wonder like what's next for Barbie and what's next for, I guess, these conversations. I mean, obviously Mattel wants to do more toy related films potentially, which is another type of sequel, by the way, to me. It's not, Barbie is a sequel to 20 years of franchise or whatever, however 50 years or however long it's been, 100 years.
Yeah.
So what does the post Barbie world look like? Well, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Wonderful.
Well, anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Hey, it's been great.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. You're gonna go see
Barbie is signing off.
You're gonna see Oppenheimer next week.
This weekend, right? I think. Yeah.
This weekend.
Tickets came out today, or a new set of tickets came out.
Okay, well, let me know. I'd love to know what you think of Oppenheimer. Yeah. I don't know if it's worthy of a show. It might be insulting to Oppenheimer fans, but I don't know if it's worthy of a show. But if it is, let me know.
He said my critique was not valuable. What?
I just don't know.
Thanks for having me. I'll never be back.
I just don't know that. I think Barbie is at least my thinking is that Barbie is the more significant film and worthy of conversation. Whereas Oppenheimer is like, okay. I don't know.
Well,
I'm curious
there's a lot of conversation around what's not in the movie. And I think that's where some of the juice I've been seeing is coming out, like related to New Mexico and its citizens.
Right. We should do it anyway then. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll watch it. I may not like it. I've been hearing terrible things.
I mean, it was terrible.
I've never heard anyone say that.
I mean, it was terrible in the sense that he did terrible things, or they did. Well, anyway, all right. Well, thank you.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.